let's take a look at this problem from Primary Mathematics 2022, Book 5A, page 76, number 1. Now, I want you to notice I've got magnets up on my board, and I want to see if you can figure out why. Let's read the problem. A farmer harvested some sacks of oranges. Can you picture what's happening? A farmer who's growing oranges on bushes or trees, he's going to harvest them, which means he's going to pick them. And he's going to pick those oranges and put them into sacks which only hold a certain number of oranges because of the size, okay? He repacked and sold all the oranges in boxes of something except for some rotten ones. So now let's kind of think this through. So he's got some rotten oranges that he has to get rid of, and he's going to repack the oranges that he does have into boxes of a certain number. Each box of oranges was sold for some money. How much money did the farmer collect from the sale of oranges? Okay, so we've got a lot going on here. This is a multi-step problem, but I covered up the numbers because I want to see, could you go ahead and identify what you need to do first before you actually see the numbers to solve the problem? And the answer is yes, you can. So first of all, I'm going to ask you to pause right here and try that out. Go ahead and think about what should I do first, second, third, fourth, and then come back so we can discuss it together. Now that you've looked at it, let's talk about what we already noticed before we even see the numbers. So if I'm looking at this problem, first of all, I've got the farmer harvesting some sacks of oranges. Do I know how many oranges he actually has? I don't, because I've got to do something in order to figure that out. And what is that thing I need to do? I need to multiply, right? I need to multiply the sacks with the oranges because I need to know how many oranges he actually harvested. So that's the first thing I need to do. I need to multiply that. What's the second thing I need to do? Now that I know how many oranges I have, what do I need to do? We got to get rid of those rotten ones. What operation is that where you get rid of something or you take it away? That's subtraction, right? So now we need to subtract the rotten oranges. Okay, that takes care of that. What happens next in the story? He's going to repack them into boxes of a certain size. So I've got a whole and I need to divide it into an equal number of groups. What operation does that sound like? Division. Now we need to divide into the boxes, right? And then there's one last step. What's that last step? We need to find out how much money he's going to make from selling those boxes. So if I have a certain number of boxes, like I had 3 boxes, and I sell each of them for $10, what operation would that be? We'd have 10 plus 10 plus 10, or 10 times 3, so we need to multiply by the cost. We figured all this out without even looking at the numbers. So when I release these magnets and show you the numbers, you're going to be able to see exactly how you need to solve it and just do the computation. Easy as that. So I'm going to show you the numbers and then allow you to compute it yourself. Okay, we've got our problem here with our numbers, and now it's time for us to get busy. So if we're looking at our problem and we know what we need to do first, the first thing says we need to multiply the sacks with the oranges. So now we know that we have 312 sacks of 28 oranges. We know what to do. So we need to come over here, and I'll put a 1 next to mine, and we need to multiply 312 times 28. I'm going to go really fast through my multiplication. If you need a pause, please feel free to do so. So I'm going to do that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'm going to multiply 20 times 2. I'm going to get 40. Keep going. And now we're going to add our totals up. Let's keep going. I got 8,736 oranges. How'd you do? Did you figure that out? Okay. Step 1, done. Okay. Step 2 was we need to subtract the rotten oranges. Well, let's figure out where our rotten oranges are. We have 192 rotten oranges. So I'm going to come over here. We're going to take our 8,736 and we're going to subtract 192. So we got a little bit of renaming we need to do over here. And now we have 8,544 oranges, okay? What's our next step that we need to do? We need to divide it by the number of boxes that we're going to create. So we're gonna make a box of 24 oranges in there. So we're finding out how many boxes. So we need to take our total of 8,544 and we need to divide it by 24. Oh, 2-digit divisors, they always stress me out. All right, so I'm gonna think about this as close to 25. That's kind of my guess. So I know that 3 25s is 75, so that's pretty close. So I like to come over to the side and calculate that myself. So if I do 24 times 3, I'm going to get 72. It's pretty close. So when I subtract, now I'm going to have 13 remaining. Bring down that next 4. So now I'm going to ask myself, okay, if I'm thinking about this as 25, that's pretty close, right? I know 4 25s make up 100. So if I do 5, let's come over here and check. 24 times 5. So when I do that, I get 120. It's pretty close. Okay, so what's left? We still have 144. Ooh, I see that if I just add 24 to this, I'm going to get 124. So I know that's 6, right? And I'll have this left over. Okay, what does the 356 mean? It means how many boxes that we actually made from all those oranges. There's one more step. What's our last step? We need to multiply it by the cost. Well, how much was it? It was $14. So if I come over here, we're going to take our 356 and we're going to multiply it by 14. Thank goodness there is a 1 in there. I'm going to go fast. You tell me if you need to pause by just pausing and you can calculate. We're going to multiply 6 times 4. We're going to get 24. We're going to multiply 4 times 50. We're going to get 20. Add the 2. We're going to multiply 300 times 4. We'll get 12 plus the 2. So we get 14 hundredths there. We're going to move in to multiply by 10. Thank goodness this is a 1. So all we have to do is just copy it down. When we do that, we get our total. Now remember, this is money, right? So here we have our total, right? He is going to make, so let's do this. He will make $4,984 from the sale, right? He's going to do that. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of steps. But like I said, if you read through a problem without considering the numbers first, which is why we covered them up, you don't have to cover them up, but when you're reading through, don't get hung up on that number. In fact, a lot of times, the first time I read through, I don't read the number really, like I just say it, but I'm not really paying attention to it. The second time I read it, as I go step by step, I like to go through and ask myself, okay, what am I going to do? What does this number mean? That is a reading strategy to help you make sense of all of this as you tackle these problems.